Hi, today we're going to create a fun project together. We'll make a simple rock, paper, scissors game in Java, and you'll actually play against a computer which will generate its moves either randomly or follow a specific sequence. So by the end of this video, you'll be able to create a program just like this on your own, and you'll be able to solve your assignment 4. Let's get started. For the assignment, we'll create a rock, paper, scissors game where the user plays against the computer. The computer can make moves either based on a random seed or a predefined sequence. We'll also be tracking the number of wins, losses, and draws after a set number of rounds. Sounds exciting, right? First, we have a class called RandomPlayer. This class is responsible for deciding the computer's moves. There are 2 ways the computer can play, which is randomly using a seed-based random number generator or by following a fixed sequence of moves. If the player provides a seed, the computer generates random numbers between 1 and 3, where 1 equals rock, 2 equals paper, and 3 equals scissors. If no seed is provided, the computer will play the fixed sequence repeatedly. If we don't give it a seed, it will follow the fixed pattern: rock, paper, scissors, rock, rock. And then for the random sequence, the random player uses a number called a seed to shuffle through rock, paper, scissors randomly. The cool thing about this is that even though it looks random to us, using the same seed will always give the same sequence, so we can predict the outcome by controlling that seed. Now let's connect this back to the overall game flow. In our main rock, paper, scissors.java file, we either create a random player by giving it a seed, or we leave the seed out and it follows that predictable sequence. Next, we have the main class, rock, paper, scissors, where most of the game logic is implemented. Your task will be to work on this. Now, the program asks for different inputs from the user, like their name and their choice of rock, paper, scissors. Before we play around, let's quickly review the rules of rock, paper, scissors. It's simple. So rock crushes scissors, scissors cuts paper, and paper covers rock. What do you think would be the best way to represent these relationships in our program? How might you check who wins a round? Consider using conditions to compare the player's choice with the computer's choice. You might think about how you can structure these comparisons using methods to keep your code organized. Now let's play a round of the game. It asks for my name, so I'll enter Aerith and press return. How do you think the program handles my name input? Think about how user input is usually captured in a program. The name is likely stored somewhere so that it can be used later on, like when displaying results or addressing the player. Next, it asks how many rounds I want to play. I'll choose 1 for now. What do you think the program does to keep track of how many rounds we want to play? It's probably storing this number in a variable. The program needs to know how many times to loop the game, so it will reference this value multiple times. Now I need to pick my move. I'll go with paper by entering 2. How do you think the program compares my choice to the computer's choice and decides who wins? Consider what kind of structure could be used to handle multiple options, like checking if my choice is stronger than the computer's. Think of conditionals like if-else statements that compare 2 values and decide based on certain rules. The computer picked rock. How do you think the game makes sure the computer's choice is random? So most programming languages have a way to generate random numbers. What's one way the program could pick a random number between 1 and 3 corresponding to rock, paper, scissors? After 1 round, it says I won and shows the score. The game keeps track of the number of wins, losses, and draws. How do you think the program is tracking this information? Think of a counter, a variable that starts at 0 and increases every time a certain condition is met, like when I win or when there's a draw. Now let's play 3 rounds. I'll be a new player, Tifa, and I'll choose different moves each time. How do you think the program knows how to play 3 rounds? How might it loop through the rounds? There's probably a loop involved, right? Think about for or while loops. They repeat an action a specific number of times. In this case, the loop likely runs as many times as the number of rounds I entered. In round 1, I'll pick scissors by entering 3. The computer picked rock, so I lost this round. How does the program compare my choice to the computer's choice and decides who wins? Remember from before that it likely uses conditional statements? For each round, the program probably checks my choice against the computer's and uses a set of rules to determine who wins. After the first round, the game doesn't just stop, it moves on to round 2. How do you think it keeps track of which round we're on? Think of a counter. Each time a round finishes, the program could be updating a variable that keeps track of the current round number. That way it knows when to stop after 3 rounds. Now it's round 2. I'll choose paper this time. The computer picked paper too, so this round is a draw. How do you think the program handles draws? What makes this different from a win or a loss? The program probably has a condition that checks if the 2 choices are the same. When that happens, instead of declaring a winner, it updates a counter for draws. In the final round, round 3, I'll choose rock. The computer picked scissors, so I win this round. What happens behind the scenes when I win? How does the program update my score? Just like in a single round, it probably uses conditionals to check who won. If I win, it increments my win counter, and if the computer wins, it increments its own. The same happens for draws too. Now that we've played 3 rounds, the game shows me the final results. I won 1 round, the computer won 1 round, and we had 1 draw. How do you think it keeps track of all of this information across multiple rounds? Imagine that every round, the game updates 3 different counters, 1 for wins, 1 for losses, and 1 for draws. After all the rounds are over, it displays the values of those counters to give the final result. So there you have it. By playing multiple rounds, we saw how the game keeps track of the rounds, handles input, compares choices, and updates scores. The core concepts of conditionals, loops, and counters are all at play here. Try thinking about how you would structure this if you were coding it yourself. What kind of variables and loops you would need, and how would you make sure the game stops after the correct number of rounds? As you've seen, I've been entering numbers, 1 for rock, 2 for paper, and 3 for scissors. But there's a simple way that the program knows what those numbers mean. Can you think of a way the program might handle these numbers so that it understands that 1 is rock, 2 is paper, and 3 is scissors? One way to do this is by using constants, which are fixed values that make sure rock always stands for 1, paper always stands for 2, and scissors always stands for 3. Using constants can make the program more consistent and easier to follow.